Hey everybody, it's Kathy Boyle, president of Chapin Hill Advisors. This morning we're introducing another member of our Circle of Influence, John Sadowski. Now, our Circle of Influence is an expert referral network. When you go to hire an expert, often you're in a hurry. You're closing on your home, you need a title insurance company, you need a real estate attorney, or maybe it's fixing up your home, you need a handyman, or perhaps your taxes are a mess, you're unhappy with your CPA. Whenever you look for an expert, if you make a mistake with that expert, it's extremely expensive in terms of time and money. So our goal is to provide experts in a wide variety of fields and services whom you know you can trust. They will deliver what they tell you they will do. So today we're going to interview John. John is Metro Valley Advertising, and he combines a couple of unique attributes. So John, let's talk macro. What is what is it that Metro Valley does? Explain it to us in plain English.
We're a media planning and buying company, Kathy. And what we do is we work with business owners and chief marketing officers of mid-sized companies. And they come to us for a very specific reason. And that is that their advertising dollars are not getting the results they expect. Usually that means they're not getting the leads and they're not getting the sales that they want for their expenditure. Media is usually the biggest component of an advertising budget. So when that doesn't work, it's very, very painful. The reason it doesn't work usually it comes down to strategy and tactics. There's usually a problem with one or both of those. And that's what we really look to solve. So we look at the client sales cycle. We try to understand if they're having a problem with awareness or a problem with engagement or a problem with conversions or all three. And then we fix those problems by using either traditional, digital, or a combination of both forms of advertising.
Got it. So yeah, let's talk about that. So advertising in the old days used to mean newspaper ads, print ads, big magazines, very expensive, especially if it was in color. Obviously, the world has gone virtual and digital, even more so after the pandemic. So what kinds of media are we really talking about?
Well, it's a great question, Kathy. In spite of the doomsdayers who are saying TV and radio are dead, they're not. They're just changing. And in many ways, it's the way that we consume them that's changing. We all are aware that things like Netflix exist, so streaming television, where I get my TV over the internet. And that's probably the biggest change for those two forms of media is now there are great ways of consuming them digitally. So the digital world is certainly here and here to stay for the foreseeable future, but traditional advertising still has a place.
Got it. All right, so let's talk about a couple of mistakes. You said they don't think about a strategy. They don't think about clearly what it is they're trying to achieve. So what kinds of questions do you ask?
We start with their objective. So what is it that they want to have happen? For most of our clients, it comes back down to revenue. They want to grow their revenue and they want advertising to be the driver. So we have to look at that. So the next step really is to understand how that person or that client comes to them. What are the actions that they usually take? And kind of going back to what I talked about earlier, it's really understanding that buyer, who they are, how they behave, and how they go through a sales cycle with our client. And that then will help inform a lot of our decisions going down the road.
Got it. Okay, and then what kind of ROI might they expect? Is that very different client to client? Do you go over that with them? And how long might it take in a typical cycle for them to start seeing results?
That's a tough one. And yes, it really does vary from client to client and more likely from business to business. So, if we're working with, a doctor's office, medical practice, it'll be different probably from what a retailer would experience. So that does change. We tell our clients that it's going to usually take them 6 months to start seeing a change in their client patterns, in their lead patterns. So it doesn't happen overnight. We do see some changes immediately that kind of indicate we're on the right track. So it is a process.
And then with this process, might you do A/B testing? Might you do like multiple strategies at once and then fine tune it from that? Or do you start with what you think is the best campaign?
We're always testing. That doesn't change no matter how long the client has been with us, because the environment changes. So you always have to evolve. We will test different strategies as well as different creatives. So they kind of look at it from layers, starting at the top down. We might, investigate it and try out a couple different strategies to drive leads. With that, we will probably try out a couple of different forms of advertising and advertising messaging, and then start to refine that and evolve that as we gain understanding from the data that we collect along the way.
Got it. And then just really, how does this differ from me hiring a social media company who's going to design a social media ad campaign for me?
That's interesting. Social media is certainly part of what we do. And I guess that kind of comes back to some of the differences between digital agencies. In the case of Metro Valley, we are purely on the media side. So we do not create content. There are companies out there that do not do advertising. All they do is create content. So it's something that a consumer has to think about and ask, and when they're looking to hire an agency, in terms of what are the skill sets that they bring to bear, what are the capabilities that they bring to bear, and does that match up with what their objectives are?
Got it. Okay, so if you have content or you have team members who are actively creating content and you're clear on your objectives, or you have the money to spend on a campaign like this, that is the kind of client that should seek you out.
Exactly. And to take that a step further, Kathy, we do help our clients find the vendors that they need on the creative side.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is obviously without creative, we can't do the media component. So
right.
I've been doing this for almost 30 years now. I started by selling traditional media. I've sold television, I've sold radio, I've sold outdoor. And along the way, I've met a lot of very, very talented creatives. And so I stay in touch with them. And even now, I try to network with creatives whenever possible, because I love to find new people with new skill sets. And you never know where they will fit in with a particular client that you meet. So we like to be able to provide that service.
That's wonderful. I think making it easy for a client is really important. Last question, any industry groups that you really focus on?
Yeah, we focus really on 3 different areas of business. We do lead generation for the legal field for attorneys. Primarily personal injury and matrimonial attorneys. We do work with doctors with medical practices, primarily doctors in cosmetics, cardiology, orthopedics, other areas where there are high value procedures that are performed. And we also work in high-end retail. So a high-end retailer would be a furniture store, a flooring and tile store. And obviously the automobile world is high-end just by nature of the cost of the product.
Got it. All right. Last question. How do we find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also Google Metro Valley Advertising. It's metrovalleyadv.com. Or you can find me, as I said, on LinkedIn and Facebook.
And your email is?
John@metrovalleyadv.com.
Terrific. We're delighted to have you in our circle of influence.
Thank you, Kathy. I enjoyed being here.